Kia ora everyone, you're here with me, Dave, on the Empire, and it is time for another video game review. This week we are taking a look at one of 2020's most hotly anticipated titles. It is from Naughty Dog and Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is available exclusively on the PlayStation, and yes, it is none other than The Last of Us Part 2. Now this video review has been captured from a PlayStation 4 Pro at 1080p with Supersampling mode. All of the capture is our own, and this review is spoiler free where possible. And I say where possible because I'm never going to be able to exclude everything, but yeah, I'm not going to ruin this one for you. Okay, so the greatest game of the PlayStation 3 generation, one of the greatest PlayStation games ever released, The Last of Us. It follows Joel and Ellie as they go across America, trying to deliver Ellie to the Fireflies so that they can find a cure for the cordyceps fungus, which has turned a bunch of the world's population into scary zombie types, caused the breakdown of society, and generally pitted humans against humans, and in the most violently brutal ways. This picks up more or less straight after where the first one left off, and it introduces you to what happened next. Now, there's already some information available on the internet, and unfortunately there are a lot of spoilers for this game on the internet, and I would just like to say, if you've managed to avoid spoiling this game for yourself, as I was able to before I played it, please keep that up. You're nearly there, and this game has to be experienced. Now, if you have seen some of the spoiler content for this game, all I'm going to tell you is that there is so much more than that content in this game that, again, you just have to experience it. And it's really, really important because it gives so much context to that content that is out there on the internet. But I'm not going to talk about that anymore, because then you might be tempted to go and dig it out, and that would suck. Just please do yourself a favor, don't look up the spoilers, hit this one up with with no prior knowledge of the content, and you will get the most out of it in that way. The story in the game is deep and engaging. It is so intense at times, and it flows brilliantly as well. It is masterfully executed. It is undeniably compelling. I could not play any other game until I had finished my first playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, because I needed to know what happened next. It's one of those games where you pick it up to do one encounter, or to push it just a little bit further, and then you make it to the next checkpoint, and then you push it just a little bit further, and then before you know it, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're wondering exactly what has happened. The storyline itself, there's about 30 to 35 hours gameplay in there, depending on how you set up your difficulty settings and how good you are at the stealth / combat part of the game. Now, in this game there are new types of enemies. There are now attack dogs who can pick up your scent. They're really interesting to encounter, because you have to keep moving and you have to distract them in order to prevent them from just completely harassing you and opening you up to getting taken out by the handlers and the other people in the particular encounter that you're in at the time. There are also new types of of zombies. You've got the evolution of the cordyceps fungus and things like that going on there. Again, I'm not going to go into anything specific and any spoilery things here, but yeah, they are. It's done in a way that will make you jump out of your skin the first time that you experience it. The audio direction and just the tension in this game is second to none. This game has weight, it has gravity, and when you're in the encounter and you're in a spore zone, so you've got your mask on and things like that, and you've got all the audio sort of just following through and building that tension until it is almost unbearable, and then something happens and your heart is racing, and then you're in combat, you're throwing stuff to distract people, you're trying to figure out if you've got enough crafting ingredients to put together a Molotov cocktail so you can take out a bunch of them. There is so much that happens in this game. The crafting and weapon development and skill trees in this game are definitely worth mentioning as well. So obviously, as you play through the game, you unlock skill trees, and those skill trees support, the growth of Ellie and her being able to do more and do things more effectively. You also can craft and customize your weapons, and what's really nice is as you apply upgrades to those weapons, those upgrades are very visually represented with your guns, and that's really nice, because it does definitely, they look different when you take them off the workbench and you've applied an upgrade, and it's nice. It's a nice little bit of permanence to the game. The combat in this game and the representation of violence is really extreme at times. Actually, it's this is not one of those games where where you can ring up a massive body count and and it's all a little bit comic and a little bit farcical. The combat on this is visceral, and it's savage and deeply violent and unforgiving. As you learn how to craft things, you'll be able to put together the Molotov cocktails. You'll be able to put together some remote triggered proximity bombs as well. If somebody steps on one of those proximity bombs, it paints the environment with their insides, and it's a mine, and you sort of go, oh man, oh wow, oh no, and like legs and arms, limbs get shot off, heads explode, and it's all very realistic in its portrayal of violence, which, if I'm honest, generally encouraged stealth from me. I tended to try and err on the side of stealth. One, because I am a bit of a hoarder when it comes to resources and crafting in this game, and in fact in any game in general. And so, it's like, oh, I've found a cloth, I'll stick that away in my backpack and never use it for anything ever. Whereas, when things do go a bit wrong and you've got to, you've got to go loud, or you've got to set a trap for somebody, the game does want you to use those resources. So, yeah, trip mines, those things were, I think the first time I used one in anger, I was like, what have I done? Because, the person had no legs and they were screaming, and it was just crazy. There are so many moments in this game which pulled at your heartstrings. Obviously not combat related. There are scenes, there are experiences that you will go through in this game, which, for me, the specific parts of this game were like the end of my current play session. So like I couldn't do anything else after I had experienced this. There was one in particular, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I think again, it's the whole thing. You need to experience it for yourself. And but I had to stop playing after, and not because it was a hard encounter, but because it was beautiful and wholesome and extremely human. And I didn't want to sort of progress beyond that point in the evening that I was playing it, because I didn't want it to go back to that grim, cold, dark world that the majority of this game is set in. You know, I took refuge in that brief moment of joy and that human moment. And I can't really recall any other game having that impact on me and making me feel this way. It really, there are these moments of narrative triumph and storytelling and world building and gamecraft that have been fully brought to bear in this game. It really genuinely evokes a range of feelings from you as you play through this, and I I would love to be able to experience this game for the first time again, because it I've never experienced anything like it. Now, there's an awful lot of expectation on Naughty Dog because their games are generally excellent. You know, and when everything that you make is excellent, then excellent seems quite normal. And so for Naughty Dog to be able to make a truly excellent game, it has to be significantly above and beyond what they normally do, which is excellent. And so in that respect, it is perhaps fitting that the greatest game on the PS3, The Last of Us, has a sequel which could quite possibly be the greatest game released on the PS4, in The Last of Us Part 2. This game is a 10 out of 10. If you've been able to keep yourself away from the spoilers, just keep that up until you've got this one in your hot little hands. And then when you play through it, soak it up. Soak it all up, because it's incredible. And you'll only get that once. So, thanks very much for listening to this review. I really appreciate you taking the time. If this is your first time with us here on The Empire, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and hit that alert button, and leave us a comment if you like this review. Give it a thumbs up if you did, give it a thumbs down if you didn't. You know, let us know. We need the feedback so that we can keep delivering good content to you and hopefully grow the base, and that's what we want to do. Like I said, if you're new here, hang around on the channel for a while, check out some of our other videos. We do cars, we do guns, we do hunting, we do food, we do all kinds of stuff. If, however, this is your last video with us here on The Empire today, then I have been your resident tech and gaming guide, Dave, and I will see you! I'm just a going over Jordan. I'm just a going